welcome back to DIY guitar making. I'm really excited because I get to hear this prototype guitar, this Parlor model, which I've never played before, never heard before. In fact, I've never played any Parlor guitar before. I've realized, thinking about it, I was trying to think maybe in a music store somewhere, someone handed me a Parlor guitar, but honestly, I don't think it's ever happened. I've played like Baby Taylors and stuff like that, but that's not really the same. Parlor guitar is very small, but also deep. Often, not always the case, I guess. But this is a very small body, but basically with the same body depth as some of my larger guitars. So, oh, by the way, there's about 1 millimeter of thick plastic on here you can probably see, and you're probably wondering what that is all about. So that's just a top protector. It's a good idea if you're a builder of instruments to make something like this out of some thin acrylic. It's probably, like I said, about 1 millimeter thick here, and I just cut it out to the shape of the guitar so that it can cover over the top, which is very soft and easy to indent with your thumbnail or with a tool and cause serious damage, even irreparable damage sometimes. So having a top protector is just a great idea. You can even just use like poster board, cut that out. It's really easy to cut out with scissors or something like that. For something a little more permanent and durable though, I like to make something out of very thin acrylic. So this is really exciting. Let's take this top protector off. It's literally covering the sound hole, so this really wouldn't sound very appealing if we played it like this. Also, all that plastic is weighing down the top. Oh, and by the way, this guitar is not done. I still need to put a finish on this, but I always like to play the guitars before I even get to that point. So what we're gonna do is pull the saddle out. I am gonna drop the saddle down just a little bit. I'm not setting the action to where I actually want it. And that's a good thing to keep in mind for you builders out there, is that you don't want to adjust your action when you first build your guitar. You should wait a little while, definitely until after the finish is on, maybe even a week or two longer than that, just to give the wood some time to settle. Your guitar has lived, these pieces of wood have lived their whole lives under no tension, and now suddenly you're asking them to spend the rest of their lives assembled in this fashion and under about 160 to 200 pounds of string tension. So that's a lot to ask of wood, and so we expect the wood to move at least a little bit. So you might as well wait until the wood settles and then set your action. Otherwise you're not going to be happy with where the wood settles. Okay, makes sense? All right, let's pop these bridge pins out, and I'm going to take this top protector off, and I'm just going to quick and dirty lower the saddle just a little bit. I'm not going to, you know, kind of take measurements or anything like that, because I know I'm not going to any sort of final destination. I'm just eyeballing a little bit of a drop in the saddle, just so that when I play it, I can at least enjoy it a little bit, and it's not impossible to depress those strings down to the frets. Alright, so first we'll pop all these pins out. Sometimes even with the pins out, you really can't get the strings out. Really shows you how the pins are really just placeholders. And I could actually tune these up right now, and they would hold in place. You don't really need the pins in a sense. The damn string's stuck. Wow, I can't get the string out. Oh boy. I think when I cut the string slots for the E string, honestly, I have to use a little bit of a wider file for this, because the string, where all the windings collect around the string, it's just jammed up. There we go. I may have actually ruined this string in the process. I mean, we'll see how it holds up, but you know, it's just a guitar string in the end. Not a big deal. I got dozens of those. All right, let's take this tape off carefully. I don't want to pull up fibers on the guitar. So to lower the saddle, and again, I'm just eyeballing this, I'm going to take a pencil and holding it at an angle, I'm just gonna kind of run a line along the bottom. That's just to give me some sort of reference line. I'm gonna sand until that line disappears. I might do this twice because I wanna bring it down quite a bit. I'll probably strike another line and then sand until that line disappears. Rather than just going in blind, in which case, if I'm sanding without any sort of reference line, it's easy to tip the saddle by, you know, accidentally putting more pressure on one side as opposed to the other. And I don't want to do that right now. So I got my 120 grit sanding board here, which is just 2 pieces of MDF glued together with sanding belt, like belt sander sandpaper. That's cloth backed sandpaper stuck down to my 2 sheets of MDF. One of the best, you know, most useful tools in my shop really is these sanding boards. And so to quick and dirty adjust the saddle action here, and it's important that I differentiate this as the saddle action and not just your overall action, which is an easy mistake to make. This is only one ingredient, only one part of our total action. If we have issues with the nut height, we would pull the nut out and sand the bottom of the nut. But what we're doing right now is sanding the bottom surface of the saddle, not the top, not the crowned and radiused portion. That's perfect, that's already set. We're not going to touch that at any point when we do saddle adjustments. It's really just the bottom flat surface. Alright, so my pencil line is gone, and my gut tells me that I want to do 2 rounds of pencil line. So we'll trace that pencil line on one more time, and one more time I'm going to make it disappear. You'll notice when I'm sanding that I kind of lock my arms. I'm not swinging my arms like this in an arc, which might be the more natural way of doing this if you weren't thinking about it. That arcing, that swinging from the elbow, causes you to sort of swipe, right, to give yourself a rounded bottom, essentially. But if I lock everything and I kind of move my body from the core, that's actually, you know, it might feel a little goofy, like you're dancing in place, but it's actually a really easy way to keep everything nice and flat when you're flat sanding. All right, let's stick this in there. I think that's good. As I start to tune the strings up, I can just put the guitar on its side and eyeball it like this, just to see if the action is going to be reasonable at this point. And again, that's all I'm after, is reasonable and playable. No, we're not actually truly setting the action, in which case I would be less cavalier about my adjustments here. Before I forget, I'm going to real quick just add a little bit of extra space in that string ramp there. And so I'm going to take the smallest file that I have here. These are the files that I use to refine the string slots, probably the files that a lot of people use for this job because they're from Stu Mac. To initially cut the slots, you can use a small keyhole style saw like this, and then the files to refine them. So I'm just going to take this file and I'm going to roll it in the slot. Okay, that seems a little bit better. I always like to tune on a brand new guitar that I just built. I always like to tune from the outside strings in, so I'll do E, E, A, B, G, or I'm sorry, D, G. So the outside strings, working my way inward. You don't need to do this every time you tune up a guitar. I don't do this every time I tune up a guitar. You can just go from one side straight down to the other. But on a brand new guitar, where you're kind of shocking the system for the first time, it just makes me feel better to do it that way. I still don't know if it's entirely necessary. You could probably just go from one side down to the other, but hey, that bridge has never experienced what we're going to do to it right now. and neither has, you know, the scarf joint or the neck or anything else. So it's all new to the wood here. Let's be gentle. Okay, before I start playing this, I'm going to do my due diligence here and give it the string stretch. So this is a normal thing to do anytime you put on new strings. Don't just grab the string in the middle and yard on it. What you actually want to do is just gently massage the string along its full length. And I'm going to do 3 or 4 laps of this, which is just going to dramatically speed up that process of down tuning that happens with fresh strings. The strings are stretching, and as they stretch they down tune, and so you constantly have to retune, and it's super annoying. You want to be able to just string up a new guitar and have fun with it, but it's hard to with it constantly down tuning like that. So here's the antidote. Just give it the string stretch. Okay, this thing is all tuned up, the strings are stretched. I'm ready to do the first strum here. Let me grab a pick to really get good strong sound out of it. Keep in mind, I'm very used to building orchestra model size instruments. Excuse me. And triple O's. So in the back of my mind, that's sort of the bass line that I'm thinking about. And this is going to be, I honestly don't know what to expect, exactly how this sound is going to be. But let's go ahead and stop yammering and let's play it. I'm playing this directly into the shotgun mic on my GoPro camera, by the way. I don't have any sort of sophisticated mic setup for this guitar, and there's no pickups in this guitar. Alright, let's try with just my fleshy fingertips here, which is how I'm more used to playing anyway. with figuring out how to hold this guitar. I definitely built this so I can use it with a strap. I call it a good walking guitar. I can walk around outside on my property and just strum around, or go take a walk in the woods at my house, because we have a lot of wooded land there. But until I get that end pin on there, I'm just gonna have to prop it up like this. Really surprised at how much volume it has. It really wants to project, which is great. Definitely brighter, which is what you expect. It has sort of that brash. Well, let's play the treble notes. It has sort of a bright, almost metally sound, which you expect from a really small body size. It's a real talker, like this. You know, that's what you call a guitar that's really punchy on the trebles. It really wants to like speak out that melody line. It's less interested in the bass notes, right? And I think this guitar is less interested in, well, never mind. Let's go back to the pick. All right, I like it. I like it a lot. It's actually, surprisingly, what I expected. I expected it to sound bright, a little bit brash, and it to basically be a talker, like I said, and you can just punch out those notes. So you're going to play a guitar like this very differently than you would play a larger instrument, where you're kind of you know, letting the notes blend together a little bit more with a larger instrument. You're going to play more of a mixture of across all strings. With this, I'm more inclined to just pop out those trebles and you know, let my thumb hit the bass notes occasionally to color those notes, but I just want to hear this thing speak. Okay, so this is awesome. I am really happy to finally be playing this thing. It is actually a lot of what I expected, surprisingly. I thought I would be kind of shocked a little bit more one direction or the other, but it's very bright and punchy, which is what you expect from a smaller body, and it projects probably a little bit more than I expected it to project. And so it's a loud, small guitar. It's a angry, feisty little thing, and that's cool. I really like it. Let's just talk about what I got to do next for this, because we're not done, and the sound will mature and change over time. Not only will the strings actually kind of dull, which takes away some of that brashness, but also the settling of the guitar will change the frequencies that it resonates well at. So the guitar changes and mellows over time. Furthermore, we're going to add a finish, and finish always, at least to some degree, depending on how much finish you use, it's kind of like putting a wet blanket on the guitar. So it tends to negatively affect the guitar's tone, actually, unfortunately. But that's why people use things like oils and shellac, especially, because they're a little kinder than a thick candy shell that you might get from like a polyurethane. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. What we have to do first is pour over this whole instrument, which I'm going to do in the next video, and pick out little things that we need to address before we go to the finishing room. There's always little indentations, dents, bits of tear out, gaps to fill. This neck I actually want to reshape, or not reshape, but I just want to shape it a little bit more. There's some areas that I'm not happy with. And yeah, then we're gonna apply a true oil finish to this. And the first Parlor guitar from my shop, the prototype, will be complete. Very exciting. Very, very, very exciting. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
If you learned something here, please give this video a like and subscribe so you can be notified when I release a new DIY guitar making video. And if you want to really learn more, take one of my structured online courses at ericschaferguitars.com or register for a hands-on guitar building workshop here with me in Burnville, Pennsylvania.